Imagine this. It's a Saturday morning and you set your alarm for 6 a.m. sharp. It goes off and you wake up and you say, today's gonna be the day. I am going to go on the biggest win streak ever and it's gonna be awesome and I'm gonna spend all Saturday gaming. So you set your alarm for 6 a.m. You wake up bright and early. Maybe get a quick breakfast. Maybe you just go ahead and start eating while you play. But anyways, long story short, you queue up for whatever game you're playing, whether it be Marvel Rivals, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Dota, you name it. Whatever it is you're playing, you queue up. And you do this. You say, all right, here we go. Gonna go on an epic win streak. It's gonna be awesome. You play from 6 a.m. until about 10 p.m. or midnight that night. So you play for about, I don't know, 16 hours or so. You know, however long you end up playing. And then what happens, you get to the end of that 16-hour shift, if you will. And you know what the most depressing thing is? You just spent all day gaming. And you didn't go up in rank. And you didn't go down in rank. You went even all day long. You spent 16 hours gaming. And you had a 50-50 win rate. You didn't climb. But at least you didn't lose. And then you look back after those 16 hours and you say, what did I just do? You know, you probably feel bad. You know, deep down you feel bad. You feel like you just wasted a whole Saturday. And you feel like, you know, there were so many other things you could have done. Maybe you missed out on some relationships. You know, maybe with some friends, family, significant other that you could have been spending time with. Maybe you neglected your sleep. Or maybe you neglected your mental health. Maybe you neglected your physical health. Maybe you sat in your chair all day long. And the only time you got up was to go to the bathroom. If you went to the bathroom. Maybe the only time you got up was to go get your, you know, the fast food that you ordered from Uber Eats or Pizza Hut, wherever you ordered it from. And you do all that stuff. And you're like, man, where'd the time go? And then you tell yourself, all right, tomorrow's going to be different. So Sunday comes around, you do the exact same thing. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think a lot of us have fallen into this trap. And I don't think I'm the only one who has. Because what I just described to you was basically how my life was for probably a long time. I think, you know, if we're being honest, you know, you just wake up, you just game all day long, and you're just playing competitive games. And then, you know, you look back on all that time spent and you're like, well, what did you really accomplish? Okay, yeah, you went up on a virtual rank that only you care about. Let's see, you know, in a lot of those gaming sessions, were they really fun? If we're being honest, a lot of those gaming sessions were really rage-inducing, hilting. You know, you're probably angry at your teammates or angry at maybe you misplayed or something. And so I say all this because, you know, don't fall into that trap. And I think when you're young and you have a lot more free time to invest, I think competitive gaming is very attractive. It's a cool way to really, you know, let's say you're someone who wasn't a big person as a kid and you didn't play sports. Well, I think video games, it gives everyone that even playing field. Doesn't matter if you're big or small, you all start at the same spot. And I think it's a great way, you know, when you're younger, to be competitive, to be ambitious, to want to really compete and climb and stuff, you know? But what ends up happening is you look back, like me personally, I had, I think, 1,000 hours in Overwatch. I think another almost 800 or so hours in Counter-Strike. Probably like 2,000 or 3,000 hours in League of Legends. I looked at all that time and I'm like, well, what did I really accomplish? You know, I look back on all my rankings and stuff, and all I see are seasons. Seasons. I don't remember any of the memories. All I see is just a rank that I had for each season. Maybe a win rate or a KD ratio. And I'm like, well, you know, I just spent so much time that I could have been doing something else. And as I've been taking a break from competitive gaming, I've realized, you know, the joy of playing single player games. You know, I've gotten around to playing Dark Souls, the Batman Arkham series, God of War, BioShock, so many great games that if I was still playing, you know, League of Legends all day long for 12 hours a day, I would never have gotten to experience them. And they're just such great experiences that once you play them, let's say it takes you, 20 hours to play, Batman Arkham Asylum or something like that. Maybe another 30 hours to play BioShock. Let's see, I'm gonna skip through to the next. Let's get through. So, in a fraction of the time you play a single player game, you get so much more out of it than if you would have just played like Counter-Strike or something all day. And don't get me wrong. I think competitive games are great, and they can be so much fun. But I think I want to make this video, I just want to make it almost as a warning. If you play like a game or two a day of Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Marvel Rivals, whatever your cup of tea is, and you can stop yourself after a game or two or three, then awesome, all power to you, go for it. But I think when it gets to the point where you're neglecting sleep, neglecting relationships, maybe your mental health, physical health, your diet, whatever it is, I think that's where the issues really lie. And I think once you're aware of this, and you can limit yourself, then I think that's the step in the right direction. And I'm not saying don't play at all. If you have friends or buddies, people who want to, play with you, then do it. Socialize with them. I think competitive gaming is a great way to kind of kill the time with friends. But at the same time, don't be scared to say, hey guys, I've just got finished playing for about an hour or 2 hours. I want to go play a single player game. I want to go play Dark Souls. I want to go play BioShock. Don't be afraid to say that. And and honestly, I think just playing single player games is it's just been an absolute blast. You really do. You form so many connections, and I think once you play single player games and you play certain like popular games, you almost like you can finally connect and experience with other people who've played those games. Not everyone's gonna be able to connect to the same Counter-Strike experiences that I had, because we all play different games. But what we all can connect to is when you play BioShock Infinite and you get to the ending, and it was one of the greatest plot twists I would say in gaming history. I think we all can relate to that. We can all say, bro, what was your reaction after you found out XYZ, right? I think we all can have that experience. So anyways, yeah, just want to make that video. If you're, I just don't want anybody to waste their time. Just be honest with yourself. Look at how much time you're investing into competitive games and ask yourself, okay, what other things could I be doing with that time? Hey, a game or two a day, that's great. Go for it. If you're having fun, and I'm not trying to control or tell you what to do, but just be honest with yourself. Don't get yourself into a situation where you're neglecting yourself. That's what I want to say. And I say try out single player games, maybe try out reading a book, try out exercising, going to the gym, maybe learn how to cook, do something else, maybe to fill that time. And then just see do it for maybe a month, and then just see, do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Then go from there. So yeah, anyways, just want to make the video. I guess don't waste your time. Be smart, stay safe, and yeah. Thank you for watching.